But years ago, I remember going to, oh man, this is so embarrassing. So I was going to guitar lessons, and I remember having a Tamagotchi, like the
Yeah.
Dreamcast controller you're talking about. And I remember thinking, if I go and hang my Tamagotchi off my machine head at the end of my guitar, I'm gonna look so cool.
Good evening, retro lovers. My name is Keith, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, my co-host Nisha. Welcome to the 5th episode of Press and A Button to Continue. We are officially halfway through the season. This week we'll be going into our attics and dusting off our old greasy covered retro accessories, from the classic Player 2 and even worse, Player 3 controllers, to dance mats, plastic guitars, and everything that kept us at the bottom of the social ladder. I couldn't keep straight there. Clean off the Cheato dust and let's relive the golden days, baby. Coming on in to a bit of retro accessories. First things first, Nisha, you cutie, how was your weekend?
Oh man, I had a great weekend. Absolutely brilliant. I'm still buzzing. I went to Dublin Comic Con, and
Baby.
oh, it was great. It was really, really cool. But I met the Super Mario Charles Martinet. I met him. I saw him. I shook his hand.
Your
Said hello.
father, yeah.
I'm a big daddy-o.
The man who encouraged you to become a plumber yourself.
Yes, Charles.
What was it
But,
like being in his presence?
It was I proper fucking nerded out, man. Like, I was so giddy. Like my brother and my niece were just standing there looking at me, and I was like, oh god, it's him. He's right there.
Yeah. Take it away. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's the equivalent of like being a teenager and be like, "There's a girl."
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Exactly what it was like.
splooge in my pants.
Oh man, it was so cool. I have it here. I'm holding it up to the camera for the viewers can't see, but I have.
I can describe it.
Super Mario 64, and he wrote super niche, so I'm gonna stick with that. I am super niche.
That's good. Super
Yeah.
niche Super Nintendo. I like it.
I quite like it. He said, "You're the superstar. Your pal Mario," and then he signed Charles Martinet and drew a little face. Man, he was so cool. He was so nice, and
I'm jelly.
like, oh man, he was like proper on the ball. He was like, he did the Mario voice, and he was like really fun and enthusiastic, and you know what I mean.
What did he do in his Mario voice? Did he go like, "Yeah, wahoo"?
He was doing like, yeah, he was doing all that. He was like, woohoo, and he was like, thank you for playing my game, and doing all stuff like that. I was, man,
I just have this funny kind of interaction. We go up and say, "Hello, how are you?" And he's like, "Thank you for playing my game." He just like signs it and he's gone.
Like I went up and met him and I was like, would you mind signing this? And he was like, yeah, of course. And he was chatting away to be normal, and we were just having a little bit of a chit chat. But then he was like, thank you and blah blah blah. And then we went in to get the photo shoot done, and that he was being really animated.
Nisha,
yeah.
I just realized
Yeah.
opportunity. You should have got him to say, "Welcome to Press Any Button to Continue."
I can't believe I missed the opportunity.
Oh my god! It just hit
damn
me
it.
there. We could have had Mario introducing our podcast. We could have got it remixed into the thing.
Imagine.
Oh my god!
I
amazing.
was totally like, I was starstruck, man. I think it was the first time I've been proper like, holy shit. And just, I couldn't get over how nice he was. And I noticed, like I walked past a couple of times, and he was being just so nice to everyone. It was just really nice to see, you know what I mean? He was making the effort. He was doing the Mario voice, being really cool, nice to everyone, and it was just so cool to see.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was a great.
The fact as well that like for a voice actor, he probably has some of the fewest lines in the history of anything, and he's still like so like passionate about it, into it, and like does such a good job with it. You know what I mean?
Man, it was so cool, and just like that's now one of the favorite pieces of my collection now is this signed copy of Mario 64 that'll stay with me forever.
It's crazy because when you think of nostalgia and you think of like, hearing that voice, and when you talk about voices and you talk about those things that are seared into your brain, like, anyone listening now can probably hear that voice. If they're thinking of Mario going, wahoo!
Yeah.
Like you can totally like hear it, and to have that like, as a collector and, as a retro piece of like memorabilia, to have that signed by him is amazing. And I mean, basically, the episode's done, your mano, what's his name again?
Charles Martinet.
Charles Mario. He's basically the best gaming accessory we can have, do you know?
Oh yeah. He is the number one accessory.
Yeah, you know, he just comes with you everywhere you go.
But oh man, I just had to say he was so nice. Dublin Comic Con was great crack as well. But he was so, I just couldn't get over how nice he was. You know what
Was
I mean?
that the
Like he,
highlight?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I just looking.
Right.
I was like going to sleep with the game and all, holding the game,
Oh, I
cuddling
like
the
it, like
game.
your little teddy. Yeah, I like
Oh,
it. I like it.
my
It's
God.
cute. Shall we get slaying on into it?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, okay. So, retro gaming accessories, what are we thinking? I mean, first of all, I would just say on like a basic level, controllers. Like if I open up a box I have at home from an attic, right? I don't know what it is. And can someone explain this to me? Like I'm talking now, not one that was covered in Cheeto dust. I'm not talking about someone who had like fish and chips and then like shoved the end of the controller up their asshole. And, like, do you know what I mean? I know that's a mental image, but why? What happens to the analog sticks on controller? Do you ever take a controller out of a box and it has like this like sweaty gleam of stickiness on it? Maybe that's just me, and maybe I don't know what I was doing with them.
Man, my controllers are fucking clean as fuck. I don't know what you've been doing.
I mean, look, the ones on my shelf are clean as fuck, but sometimes you find the thing with like, you know, a Mad Catz 98 controller that has like, it's like 3 nipples on a controller. It's like 4 analog sticks and it's like shaped like a fucking banana and it's and it's got
Come
everything
here.
on it.
Tell me this. What's your favorite controller?
GameCube, 100%. I think the
Yeah.
GameCube is the most comfortable controller ever made. I don't
It
think
is,
in
it's
terms
nice.
of the fact it kind of semi-embraced the dual analog sticks. You know, it had the C
Yeah.
stick and it had the thing. It wasn't quite, you know, a dual analog system.
Yeah.
But I mean, to this day, anyone will tell you if you want to play Smash Brothers, you need to play on a GameCube controller. Like,
Yeah. Didn't they bring out like my brother got me the Smash for the Nintendo Switch, and it was like a big special edition, and
yeah.
had controller, and it was a GameCube controller.
Yeah, like a proper one, a wired one, and you have the
Yeah.
adapter.
Have an adapter. Yeah.
Same one I have as
Nice.
well. I got it
So
for the
that's
Wii U,
best.
but it still
That's
works.
the best for Smash, is it?
It is, well, like, because what's really
Ah.
interesting about the GameCube and its controller is like games were fucking made for it. So, like, you know, if you look at an Xbox or PlayStation controller, all the buttons are evenly made. So it's like, you know, triangle, they're all the same size. But if you
Yeah.
look at a GameCube controller, you have a giant A button.
Yeah.
You know, you have the small B button, and you know, then you have your C stick and all that. And also, triggers are kind of weird sensation to them. They're like almost
are.
an air gassy
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing
yeah.
going on with. But yeah, like, you know, the A button was big and like, you know, it's almost like kid friendly. It's like that's the jump button for everything. Like that's gonna be your
Oh, that makes so much sense now. Yeah.
you know? But yeah, the GameCube in terms of comfort, I think in the hand is amazing. I do think like I think the 360 controller kind of revolutionized stuff, if you could call it retro, but dependent in case someone gives out to me. But yeah, I think those two are like kind of one of the kings. What about
Nice.
you?
Possibly the best controller is, in my opinion, the Super Nintendo controller. I just think it's
Controversial.
I think it's the most comfortable. But here's something proper controversial. My favorite controller is the N64 controller, which seems to be the most fucking hated, but I absolutely love it. I love it.
But it's the first controller with an analog stick. That's right, isn't it? Because like
I
PlayStation,
don't know. But yeah.
PlayStation 1 came out and it only had a directional pad, and then later
True.
they brought out the DualShock, which had the analog sticks, which was kind of, you know.
But you didn't use. I can remember getting that and not using it for fucking ages and being like, why are these fucking things on my controller?
Get these titties off. Am I crazy in thinking though? Like, is the N64 analog stick not analog? Like, in my mind, it's almost like it's a stick with strings underneath it that's pulling like a little thing left and right in either direction. But like,
really don't know.
okay, how do you hold like? So the thing about the Nintendo 64 controllers had obviously 3 bananas coming out of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, when did anyone ever hold it? Like, you know, on the right and left side.
I don't know. I really don't know.
What was
You would
that
have thought that was.
extra?
I would have thought that was for, maybe had they ever thought about somehow through some outrageous circumstance making it backwards compatible with an add-on, like something like the disc drive.
Ooh, that'd be
And
cool.
the D-pad on the left-hand side might have been for NES and SNES games.
Sure.
Imagine that.
Because I can't, like, I feel like the directional pad on the N64 controller, like, I cannot remember ever using it. Like, I feel like it
either
was
can I.
so underutilized that I could barely even remember pressing it, you know?
I just love the look of it. I think it looks cool.
I don't know, for me, like, even the design of the Nintendo 64 with all its curves, like, I'm well into it, you know, like that. And I always remember thinking as a kid, it was way big. I thought it was going to be huge.
Mm.
Because the boxes, when you see them in store, they're massive, and then you get it
Yeah.
out and you're holding it like they're so small.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I remember thinking that as well. But controllers, though, when I'm thinking about them, right, when you're talking about the accessories on them, did you ever get like, third party controllers? So like, were you
Yeah.
ever into like the Mad Catz controllers, or what were other ones like? I don't know. There was a fair
Hori pads, are they? Or Hori
a
controllers?
Hori pad.
Is that not a thing? Is that not a
It could be, but
Sorry.
not where I grew up.
Oh, I know a good one that you might
Come
have
play
one.
with
You know
my
that
Hori pad.
GameCube?
Wait,
You know
what are
the
you gonna say?
GameCube one that's like, is it a waveboard? It's like a wireless
Yeah,
one.
the wireless
That
one.
looks cool, man. That looks
Yeah,
fucking
it's got
slick.
extra thickness onto it as well, which
Ooh,
is nice and
good.
juicy. But like, man, I had a controller that, I'm not shitting, I think it was a Mad Catz controller. Like, as I
Right.
said, when I was doing the intro, I'm saying player 2 and player 3, like there was worse and worse controllers that like barely worked at that point. But like, I had one that was shaped as a complete cylindrical disc. It was the most uncomfortable thing. I don't know why some controllers were like, yeah, it's in an S shape. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
actually, my friend Sam, who listens to this podcast, he was playing Mario Kart the other day with me, and he sent me a picture
Nice.
of his controller,
Yeah.
and he has it 3D printed the Z from Zelda. And
No
then two
way.
two Joy-Cons on the end, so he's literally holding
Deadly.
a giant Z when he's playing.
Deadly. You have to send me a picture. I want to see
I
that.
will.
Sounds
I
cool.
will. Actually, we might use it as the cover art for the
Yeah,
episode. 'cause
why
it's
not?
hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. Deadly.
Yeah, so like, oh man, Jesus. I even had like I think there was some other wireless controllers as well for them, but like some of those, man, like particularly when you're giving us like your friends come over, it's like, oh, can I play? And it's like, do you ever see the ones where like the rubber from the analog sticks are gone? Somehow it's like, it's almost someone tried to polish the controller for 90 days. It's gleaming and shining under the sun.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they are tragic.
I remember my brother Aidan won a competition years ago, and he won a copy of WCW versus NWO on the N64.
Sorry,
And
what?
yeah, that was a bit of a mouthful. WCW on the N64.
What's that? What's that?
It's a wrestling game.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
WCW versus NWO. So you remember they were like the competition for WWF back in the fucking 90s or early 2000s.
Sure.
But so he won a copy of that, but he also got like a third party N64 controller. And that was the first time I actually can ever remember having a third party controller. But it had it was see-through, and it was really cool looking. I actually think I still have it, but it had all the turbo buttons.
Yes.
So you could click it up and down, and I had one of them for every button on the N64.
It was almost like the controller was like an inbuilt way of cheating in the game, where you could make the game go faster
I think
or slower.
they used a lot for like Street Fighter, maybe it's fighting games. Yeah, so but I loved it. Great controller, really cool.
But there was actually some of those controllers that had a turbo button that literally made the game move faster in the PS1 games. Like literally, it would make it double times the speed. However, it would do it with it, which was wild with it as well. Actually, speaking of N64 controllers, have you ever seen? Oh my God, these are cat, man. There were these covers that you could put on the N64 controllers that you could get with like Nintendo Power or something.
All right.
It was like a magazine, and like, so basically what it was a fucking sock for your N64 controller so it didn't get slippy.
All right.
Oh my God, they were cat. Just look them up if you want. If you just Google it, Nintendo 64 covers for the controllers, they are rancid. I think there's like probably only 2 of them ever bought, but they were just like, I don't socks for them. Like, it's the only way I can describe them.
But the N64 controller was really comfy, I thought, to use. I do know, wasn't there like a fucking glove released for Mario Party?
Yeah, there was. They got sued, man.
Something about people fucking rubbing it on their hands and got blisters or like, fucked up their hands.
You really have half a story here. It's like, didn't someone like rub the controller off themselves and I don't know, sexual court case?
It was a glove of some sort. But
there was. So basically what happened was that like there was a game in Mario Party where you had to put the palm of your hand. So like it would tell you to do this, and this was the real legality of the problem of it. So like the game would tell you exactly how to play the game, which was everyone had to put the palm of their hand on the analog, well, like, I don't know what stick it was in the N64, and then start like rolling around on it. And they had no rubber on it. There was nothing. So it's like people were getting friction burns and actually like leaving fucking marks and cutting up their hands and stuff. So then Nintendo, basically, I don't know, it went to court or something along those lines. And then Nintendo had to send out anyone who wanted one. So whoever bought Mario Party, if they wanted a glove to play the game with, they had to do it, and it cost them millions. So like it was kind of, It's pretty shit for them, but it's pretty cool other than that.
But it'd be cool to have one of them. Like I have
Oh, it
this
would
weird
be.
fucking Mario Party
I
glove.
was probably not even made by Nintendo. I'd say these things were like bought out of
Probably
like
just
an
a weight
adventure
glove.
shop.
Yeah,
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 yeah. It's
fucking
just like
fitness shop.
whatever.
But here,
Yeah.
I have a good one. It's kind of a controller, but you don't really use it for any other game apart from one. It's the mouse and pad for Mario Paint on the Super Nintendo.
Was there a mouse and pad for that?
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
I would imagine, of course, because like, how else would you do it? But do you have it?
Yeah, man. Oh,
You
it's so
have you
fucking
have
cool.
the
I have the
mouse and the
mouse.
pad.
Yeah, I
Is it
do.
worth a lot?
Yeah. Nah, it's not. It's actually, I think like I got it for around 30 quid or something like that. Like, this is a
That's
couple of years ago. It
wild.
might be worth about 50 quid or something. But it's
Sure.
literally it's a mouse with a left and right click and a little mouse pad. It's a plastic mouse pad.
Just like a normal mouse, then, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it just plugs into your Nintendo.
It kind of blows my mind though that they like, when they have a peripheral like that for a Super Nintendo and they can
Yeah.
get mouse tracking movements on it. I mean, I'm sure it's simple, but like at the same time,
Oh man, what a fucking game! And do you know what? You'd love this game because you can make your own music in it. So you can make your own songs, yeah. And like they used to have like pre-made songs, but it's like a 4-line like music notes, and you'd pick. There was different symbols. So there was like a Mario would make a noise, and there was a baby that would make a noise, up and down. And
there's
like,
very two different ones. Like Mario makes a noise and a baby makes a noise.
and it was like a little Yoshi, but you could make some really cool songs. But a really cool game. It had loads of different games, and you could like color in. There was like a picture of Mario and Yoshi from Super Mario World, and you could color it in and paint it whatever way you wanted. But then it had a little mini game. You were like swatting flies. So there was a big fly, or you'd swat flies. So your hand was like a glove holding a little fly swatter.
Sure.
And you'd be moving the mouse around, and you'd be hitting the flies, and then it would go up each level, and at the end you'd fight this boss, which was like the big fly. And it was a fucking great game. Really,
I could just imagine you as like Saturday night doing your painting, raving to the tunes you're making. It's like Yoshi. It's like let's go.
Oh,
Darude Sandstorm Mario style,
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Do you have a Super Nintendo there? Yeah,
I do have a Super Nintendo and I have a sad story about it. Right, so there was basically I have the Super Nintendo. It's up on my shelf there. So it was never confirmed, right? But I just went into my room one day and my Super Nintendo was broken. Like, right. I know it wasn't me, right. But like basically, I don't know, it was my mom. She cleaned up and said, I don't know what happened, but basically, like the back of the vent is smashed in, so like there's a hole in the back. Like it works, it's fine, but it's just a bit of the plastic on it's broken, and all them go as well, like yellow. Like there was someone chain smoking. All those like the Dreamcast, anything that has that like color to it's like someone's like, hey, are you going? Like fucking absolutely.
Yeah, is it because of the sun? Is there something to do with the dye and the cast?
I think so.
I highly recommend you trying out Mario Paint. Again, it's not, well, as far as I remember, it's not mad money. I'd have to look up again. The fucking price of retro games are gone through the roof, so it could be about 10 grand or something at this stage. But that for me was a cool accessory because it was like preparing you for people to get into PC gaming and that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I just really cool and I think unusual. Now it might have been used for one or two other games. Like I don't remember, but I only remember specifically Mario Paint and just how cool it was. There was so much to do in it. There was loads to do in it.
I'd love to know, like, when people do stuff like, Buzz or, Guitar Hero or whatever it is, like, how much money does it cost them to sell that stuff on top of it? You know what I mean? Like, so they're making those games and, like, they sell the software for whatever it is. Like, you wonder, like, did they make a fucking loss when they're making all these mouses and, mouse pads with them and stuff? It's curious to know with them. Do you know what's an interesting one? Which blows, like, as in is fucking always happened to me as a kid. I never knew why. Is memory cards. Like, memory cards in general. Like, I had a PlayStation for the longest time. And I was like, I just assumed the way you played games was you had to sit them in one go. It's like, I gotta be Crash Bandicoot in one sitting. There is no possible way to save them. For years as a kid, I was like, this is just the way life is, Started from the beginning. You play for 5 hours and you start it again the next stage. You know what I mean? And they were so expensive.
Oh, yeah.
They were so expensive. And like, I think they were like, oh my God, 32 megabytes. Like, as
I
in,
can't remember. I can't
I
remember.
think they were like 32 and 64 were like back
All right.
in the PS1 days or whatever with
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And then there was the Dreamcast one, which had the little display on it, which like was
Yeah, with a little screen on it.
so cool, man. Like, you used
Yeah,
to be able to
yeah.
play Sonic, and in Sonic Adventure, there was these chows, which were like Tamagotchis in the game. And then you
Cool.
could transfer them onto the memory card and then look after them and
Deadly.
take them with you and then put them
That's
back
so
into the
cool.
game.
No
Yeah, it's
way.
class.
That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
deadly.
I still have my chow on my GameCube memory card named Cody. That
Nice.
chow is 20 odd years old now.
Oh, Chow's getting on. Chow's getting on.
Chow's getting on, baby.
I was thinking about this myself. Like, they are an accessory, aren't they? It's an accessory to your hardware.
Oh, like you
so
never
it has to be
get it. Like
considered.
in those consoles, you never get a memory card with it. So for the PS1, the PS2, the GameCube,
The
like,
N64 has the game pack. I think it's called the memory card. Is called the game pack.
that's
Isn't
like that's a RAM pack, I think. So that was to make certain games run, to be able to
it?
run.
No,
But
there is one that you can get that you put into your N64 console, but you can get an actual memory. It's called a game pack, and it goes into the back of your controller.
oh,
Yeah.
and
And
what's the point of that?
I don't fucking know because you can save on the games.
Oh my
I really
god.
don't know, man. Actually, that's a good fucking question. But definitely, because I have one or two of them in there. Like, I'm fairly sure it's a memory card.
Because I know there was like the little red, like, I don't know, was it RAM, but there was the little,
was
you know, the
like
way
a
like
little
when you open the
expansion
little
pack thing.
hatch,
Yeah.
the little
Yeah.
hatch on the N64,
Yeah.
and you put in the red one, and it
I
was
think you
all
got
like,
it with
yeah,
Donkey Kong Country or something. Or
yeah,
Donkey
yeah.
Kong
Well, you
64.
definitely had to have it to play it. Did you need it to play Majora's Mask as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, you did. I think you
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember having them, and then you're souping up. This was like putting your Go Faster stripes on your fucking Honda
Yeah.
Civic, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, bye. But yeah, so there was that, and then obviously there was the one as well that went in the back of the controller that was for putting in your Game Boy games and shit like that as well, for it to be able to play them on the TV, which was class too.
Did you get that? You got that with Pokemon Stadium, didn't you? Because couldn't you transfer?
I did. My beautiful Pokemon Stadium set, my prized possession.
Oh yeah, it's a fucking thing of beauty, man. It's a thing of beauty.
Juicy.
Here's a good one. Here's a good one
mhm.
for you, right? And I'm not gonna show. I'm gonna keep it away from the camera, right? I'm gonna let you hear it, right? I'm gonna let you hear it in action, yeah, and see if you can guess what it is, right?
Closing my eyes.
Yeah, close your eyes because I'm gonna
And
put
my
it up
eyes
to the
are
mic.
closed.
Right,
Go for
it's
it.
up to the mic. I hope this doesn't be real loud, right?
I'm scared.
Do you know what it is?
Is it gone? Can I open my eyes?
Open your eyes. I have it in my hand.
Oh,
there
baby,
is
a light gun?
baby, yeah.
Dude, I have a Namco one upstairs for Point Blank on the
Deadly.
PS1 as well, a different thing.
Class. But man, how cool. Just look at that thing.
So that's Duck Hunt, is it? Is that for Duck Hunt?
Yeah, it's for Duck Hunt, yeah. But oh man, I fucking love Duck Hunt. Like, I had a CRT TV, a big fat TV, and I had my NES
Do you know what
set
I
up
meant to
just
ask
for
you
that.
actually? Because I know I've said it a few times. You know when we say
Yeah.
CRT TV, is that like saying we're going to the ATM machine? Is CRT like in the... Do you know what I'm saying?
Having
Do
them.
you know when you say you're going to the ATM machine, like the M in
Yeah.
ATM is already the machine? Are we saying like
Yeah.
CRT? Is that
I'm
like...
gonna say that the T has something to do with tube because aren't they
Okay.
called tube TVs?
So like
I
chronic
haven't-
chronic tube TV or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on it.
But I literally had one of them just for Duck Hunt, and then I realized, holy shit, retro games play fucking so much better on these TVs. Oh, I have a list of accessories here, and I'm just after thinking of one that wasn't on my list because of that.
Mhm.
Playing retro games on modern TVs. Fuck, I can't think of the name of it. Like an upscaler.
Oh,
Upscaler.
the accessory you have for
Yeah,
it that goes from
which-
like composite to HDMI?
Yeah. And I know that's not retro, like some retro, purists
Well, like-
might frown on that, but like I don't have the space at the moment for a CRT TV. I have to have a modern TV in the house.
But no, generally it's fine. Like when you're going through that conversion and actually upscales it, you're getting a cleaner image on the
Yeah.
original hardware,
And,
and like
it's-
it's perfect
so
for it.
cool.
I-
I literally couldn't play my N64 on the TV that I have in my house because
Mhm.
it wouldn't work. So it wasn't until I got one of those. So cool.
Yeah, I'd like to invest in one. Like I think it's one of the cases now that like once I actually have like proper space, if I can set everything up again, like have all your consoles there, have them all feeding into the one kind of, because the dream is that you can come home, right? You have like all your retro consoles, you have your game library on the shelf, and you just take it up, you plug it in, you turn it on, and you're there. You're not
Yeah.
fumbling with like Jesus, like
Cables and-
20 different, like, because every one of those, like, thankfully nowadays everything's either a HDMI cable or like a figure of 8 power cable for modern console. But every console back in the day had their own original proprietary, shape for the, the video connection, and also shape for their power adapter, which is like, if you lose one of them, like I tried to go into shops, I'm like, do you have a, the video cable for like an N64 or like whatever? They're like, yeah, €20. It's like,
Yeah.
fucking hell,
Pricey, yeah.
man. Do you know
And
what I
also,
mean?
if you get cheaper ones, like, you can buy cheap ones. The quality of them isn't as good as the original,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I know, the original N64 one, say, or whatever. But here's a cool thing: you can plug your Super Nintendo, your N64, and your GameCube all have the same TV connection. What I have set up at the moment is a SNES, N64, and GameCube,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
I
because they
can.
all have the same little. It's like a little round thing with the little bloop.
Yeah, yeah, with the
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bloop.
yeah.
Yes,
With the little
yes.
bloop. I'm sure that's a very great visual descriptive there. But do you remember as well, and we haven't talked about this, how, do you know the way on like the N64 you could use composite cables or you could use an aerial cable?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
And you
With
had to
it
tune
was like
into
a
like
little
channel
box.
3
Yeah.
and you had to like tune it in because like most people used to have to use aerial. So
That's
it's
what I
like,
so that's what I originally had with my N64, was that little cable.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like basically like, so they had the little box that went in and I think you could flick between the aerial or the composite or it was something like that
Is
anyway.
that what it's called? Aerial, is it?
Like, as in, yeah, because, well, I mean, that's what I call it because
Yeah.
it's like, it's the one where you plug your little,
True,
like, coat
true.
hanger into the back of it. Like, I
Yeah.
remember having, like, a little tiny, no, in my room, man, no joke, right? I used to have a tiny little CRT
Yeah,
and I used to put an aerial into the back of it, shove it up.
yeah.
No TV license needed to get RT with this bad boy, baby. And I used to make my parents come up, right? I had GoldenEye on
Mm,
VHS. And I would
nice,
I would put it
nice.
on into and I would force my parents to pay. I used to have a cinema. My room was a matchbox, right? So when
Yeah.
I opened my wardrobe, it would hit off the end of the bed and it would create like a
Right.
barricade. So I'd be like, all right, come in. They'd have to come in, give me €10. And I would open the wardrobe door out into the bed. They'd have
Love
to
it.
watch the entire movie.
Oh,
And I'd be like,
brilliant.
there we go. I was making a fortune, man.
You're a fucking young entrepreneur, huh? Fair play to you, man. That's good going.
Uh,
Here's
um,
one for you, right? And
mhm,
it ties in with VHS, because I
mhm.
fucking love VHS, which has nothing to do with an accessory or retro game, but I just love them anyway. And a very cool accessory is the Power Glove. And the reason why it reminds me of VHS is because I'm trying to find the copy of The Wizard, which is the movie that was released to promote Super Mario Bros. 3 with Fred Savage. And in it,
Which,
the
by the
guy.
way, if I can give a shout out,
Yes.
Dizzy, my pal on who mods for me on stream, he actually sent me that the other day after listening halfway through episode 4 and was
No
like, "Oh, you gotta
way.
watch this." I was like, "No, Nisha has already told me watch it," so he sent me on the link to watch it as well.
Oh, have you watched it yet?
I haven't. I need to
Oh,
watch that. I need to watch Billy Mitchie and Steve
Billy
Wiebe.
Mitchie.
The
Oh man,
war,
I
the war
watched it
of Mitchie and
again. The King
as,
of Kong, a fistful of quarters. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I fucking loved it, man.
I watched the trailer and it was like, whoa, this is gonna be a cringy good time,
Oh
man.
man, it's fucking glorious. Oh, I was in my element. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. But
The Power Glove.
the Power Glove, yeah. I don't have one. I've never had one. But just you look at it. Do you know what the coolest thing about the Power Glove I think is? The
Mhm.
fucking the poster that was used to advertise it. You know, there's that kid and he's wearing the fucking black shades and he's got his down
Yes,
jacket
I
on,
do.
and
I
there's like
do.
all lightning in the background.
It's very kind of like Knight Rider-y kind of,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know,
very
like
iconic
Tron.
Nintendo, though, isn't it? It's very iconic Nintendo.
It is.
Kind
What
of
can someone
advertising piece.
I hand on my absolute heart, I don't know what the Power Glove does.
Either do I. It's something to do with. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. It's some sort of controller.
Welcome to the two Keith and Nisha enthusiasts who doesn't know what anything does on this list. I don't know. Do you just have? Do you? Do you just have a powerful wank with it? Are you like, yes, I really feeling the power, Nintendo?
Fuck's sake! But it looks cool. That's what it does. It makes you look
It
cool.
does.
That's
That's
the
true.
power of the Power Glove.
Or
Yes.
puts you at the bottom of the social ladder. It's one or the other.
Either or. I'll take the risk. I'll take the risk, man. Here's a good one. Here's a good one. Well, I think it's a good one. I think they're all good ones. But here's another one, and it's a bit of a weird one. A converter. That's not. I'm not talking HDMI or whatever.
Mhm.
Like NTSC to PAL region, a region converter. So like you get a converter, you get an American game sent
Sure.
over to you or whatever, and you couldn't play it in your standard system, so you get this converter that you'd plug a PAL game into and an NTSC game into, and then you put it into your PAL, say fucking Super Nintendo, and you
Mhm.
could play American games or Japanese games on your PAL system. Have you ever seen one of them? You ever have one of
No,
them?
and like I'm a little bit
Mm.
confused, right? Because when I think of this, right, we were
Yeah,
obviously talking before about how the fact that obviously the console's region locked, the game's
yeah.
region locked, and also is the TV mat just like because I'm pretty sure all TVs could go
I think
between
there's
PAL and
certain,
both, right? Isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. Those it
50
depends if it's
hertz or
60
60
hertz or
hertz,
60 hertz. Yeah,
and
but
that was PAL or
yeah,
NTSC, isn't it?
NTSC, yeah. But I think there's certain games that don't work on it. But you can't like when I think of that, I think of I have one for the N64, and it's fucking mad looking, because you'd sit the cart. It's like a little cart. You'd sit it into your N64, and then say your NTSC game goes on the top, but then your PAL game sticks in at the back, and it's just mad fucking flimsy. So
Mm-hmm.
like I remember playing it. I was playing.
It's
I
like
don't know why.
something on top of something on top of something, and it's like
Yeah,
wobbling on the top kind
yeah,
of
but
thing. Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I was playing something and I was afraid in case it fucking just fell over or something. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
But I always thought they were
Like
really cool
Jenga.
because when I was younger, like I said about in the other episode about butchering the fucking game and N64, like the concept of regions made no sense to me as a kid. Like it's very normal now to understand it, but it
Mm-hmm.
was totally outside of the realms of my fucking mind as a child. I was just like, what?
Sure.
It's different. It's
It's like I
why?
live in Ireland. I like. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
there's only Ireland. Actually, I remember. I don't know why this reminds me, but I had this really cringe. I don't know if I don't think I've said this. Where basically, when you go on holidays with your parents, and there's like I don't know. This is really strange.
To
Actually, and
Spain?
really off
Were you going to
topic. Okay,
Spain to get two
we're going to
Game Boy
Spain.
Advances
Two,
and fake
Game Boy
games?
Colors,
Oh,
and I was.
sorry,
That's
sorry.
also an entrepreneurial move on my part. Okay, everyone wanted all three starter Pokemon, and I link
Yes.
cable the shit out of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Uh,
Link
anyway,
cable?
link
Sorry.
cable. Actually, and I have a way I can, because this was the same holiday, right? So at the
Nice,
time,
nice.
I had this thing. Oh my god! Like talk about cool, right? I had a Game Boy Color that had this thing that clipped onto the top of the screen with the magnifying glass on the front of
Oh,
it. That
nice,
also had a
yeah.
light on it, but then it also had these thick ties, save lives, rubber pieces that you hold your hands onto it. So it
Deadly.
made the Game Boy fast, chunky, thick, sexy. Big
Oh,
glasses on the front of it. It was
class.
basically like a transformer. It was like an Autobot or whatever. It was like
Deadly.
it basically was an Optimus Prime Game Boy by the time I was done with it. And I
Class.
remember like, playing Pokemon. I remember specifically, like I'm talking core memories
Yeah.
of like my parents, we were outside, maybe it was in the hotel area or whatever, and they were like, we're all having our meal and drinks, and when they're having like a drink or two afterwards, I was just on my Game Boy at the table. And I remember
Nice.
specifically being in Lavender Town, specifically going up that ghost tower with the whole Cubone
Oh,
Marowak
yeah,
story,
yeah.
where it was like Cubone, the mother was Marowak and it was dead, and that's why
Yeah.
it wears the
That was
skull
the
on its
ghost.
head and all
Yeah.
that. So cool.
Deadly.
But speaking of regions, I was in a dance competition, which was like a Simon Says thing, and I was rocking, and it was like bop it, fist it, fuck it, twist it. We were doing all the moves, and
Yeah.
basically I won the competition, man.
Yeah,
Right?
mate.
And I went up stage, and they're like, "Where are you from?" They already knew the answers to these questions, and I was like, "England."
What?
I had no concept of like what anything was. I was like, my parents like, "No, you live in Ireland." And I know this is sacrilege now, like, but you know what I mean? But
I'm
don't
staying
know why it
quiet.
reminds me of it. It's all right, man. It's all right. I swear to God, I'm Irish. Don't worry about it. It is an Irish podcast still. Don't take me off the what list are we on? The top 1 million podcasts in Ireland. Like
We're
1,042,942.
900,999. Man, I'm fucking happy to be there.
I'm happy with it too, man. I'm happy with it too. But yeah, those Game Boy, the lights, the accessories. There was also one where you were like a Pokemon trainer where the Game Boy sat into your belt. You could have
Yeah,
like
no way, was there?
yeah. So
Class.
you had like a little clip on your belt. And you're like, I have a Game Boy. You like this,
Cool,
girls? Do you know what I mean? You'd
cool.
flash it. It was
Thinking
almost
you're
like an
cool as fuck.
FBI badge or a gun or something that you could be like, Game Boy. Do you know what I mean? You slap it up.
Man, oh sorry, so a memory is just after coming. You know the way like you'd be walking around with that Game Boy thinking you're fucking shit hot.
Oh
like,
my God,
and
shit
people would be
hot.
like, look at this motherfucker. But I remember years ago, oh god,
And
this
as
is
well,
so
sorry, before you
personal.
go, as well, right? You'd have the Game Boy and you'd have like your 3/4 length shorts on, like your t-shirt tucked in as tight as you go, your little like bell and sunglasses on. Like,
Yeah.
go on, tell me.
Oh man, I remember going to guitar lessons, and I used to get guitar lessons off this guy Shane, and he's so cool. He's actually a magician now, and he's fucking deadly. No, he
Brilliant.
is, and he's fucking brilliant. He's a really cool guy. But years ago, I remember going to. Oh man, this is so embarrassing. So I was going to guitar lessons, and I remember having a Tamagotchi, like the
Yeah.
Dreamcast controller you're talking about. And I remember thinking, if I go and hang my Tamagotchi off my machine head at the end of my guitar, I'm gonna look so cool.
Oh my god! And
Oh
he's just like,
man!
what the
Oh, what are
fuck
you
is this egg
fucking
thing?
doing?
Oh, there's so much stuff like that though, isn't there? Where you
Yeah,
just think you're the shit
yeah,
just
oh
by like,
man.
and your Tamagotchi was probably swinging there like basically off a noose already dead and not fed.
Oh man. Oh god. That just came back to me. I haven't thought about that in so long. That's
That
fucking
is that
that
is
was very embarrassing
that is
because I,
proper
I
cringe,
thought
alright.
Shane was really cool. You know, he was like slightly older dude. He was
Yeah,
fucking
yeah. You're trying to
rocking on the
impress. You're
guitar.
trying to
Yeah.
impress like
And he
your.
probably was like, look at this little fucking dickhead coming in here with Tamagotchi. Oh fuck.
Oh, do you know what's coming into my head very quickly as well?
Yeah.
And
Oh.
it's something that I think, you were talking about the idea. We had a chat off stream that I thought was, or off podcast, which I thought was really interesting. We were talking about Netflix and we were talking about VHSs and we were talking about, the fact that when you're watching Netflix, the problem half the time is of all this choice and you
Mm.
you get to pick what you want to pick. Where like, we were talking about growing up, how like we'd watch RTE and we'd have one channel, two channels.
Yeah.
And you'd have to watch the big movie. And whether it was your style or taste, your palate was always expanding by watching stuff.
Yeah.
And you were absorbed and you were watching it. Do you know what I mean? And you had that like, you weren't like, I'm going to change it after 5 minutes or watch something else. Do you know what I mean? You would sit down and you'd watch it and you have a new experience, which was great. Which I just thought was like a really nice conversation that I was just reminded of there. Because I'm also thinking of, because games has that in a similar nature now too. Like if you're talking about gaming accessories, like, you have Game Pass now, which is your Netflix of gaming in its own way.
Yeah.
But I was thinking specifically about demo discs that you used to get in gaming magazines. Like how, like, oh my God, sometimes that was better than like buying a game, man.
Fuck,
Like, and a
yeah.
lot of them are selling for a lot of money now because some of
Oh,
those
really?
games, I think there may be a couple of cases where there were some demos of games that never came out. So like you're talking about something really extremely rare,
Fuck.
do you know?
Yeah, I never would have thought about that. Holy shit.
And it's so like there was something so magical, and like I consider like gaming magazines as like like going in and getting a video game magazine was like my ultimate treat, man, because like kind of like it would have been internet days, but not like it's I always still like up to a few years ago I would still get them, but
And I bought Retro Gamer Mag last week down in Dunleary because there was an article about Street Fighter in it.
Yeah, fucking like it's like and it's like it's so nice to have something physical in your hand as well. But like those game demo discs, like the PlayStation ones were notorious. They had like hundreds of them, and you would have like 8 games, and some of them would give you like a proper chunk to play. So imagine that experience of going out picking something, and you get to try all these different things. Because like your options are so limited.
Yeah.
You have to wait another 6 months till Christmas before your parents are going to buy you a new game. And then there's this opportunity of getting a magazine, reading the article about it, looking at the pictures, playing it, and it's a whole like mind-blowing experience for it.
You're after like that's this is so interesting to me now. I'm the first thing I'm doing when we're finished here is researching demo discs or whatever that had games that weren't released. That's such a cool fucking I never would have thought of that. I never thought that there was going to be a demo for a game and then it never came out. Like
yeah, because it's just like, it was the case because like most of them were generally like on the release, like, they would have come out and it's like, this is just the first level from it. But even some stuff would have been changed. And I think even moving forward, like there was during the 360 era, you would have downloaded demos and stuff could have changed a lot from them as well.
All right, cool.
Or very recently, which you can sell your PlayStation 4 for a mint on it. Hideo Kojima was making a new game at the time called when he was in trouble with Konami. So basically, do you know who Hideo Kojima is? The Metal Gear Solid guy? Yeah. So, he's pretty prolific as kind of a like an artist in the gaming world, I suppose. But, PT. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Scariest thing I've ever played. He only got to make a demo for it, and basically it got torn down from the PlayStation Store. So like if you had it downloaded on your PlayStation, and you kept it and you never deleted it, people are selling those PlayStation 4s for like $1,000 or whatever.
Seriously?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, because so it's like, and it was so scary. Like I remember playing it and we purposely turned the lights off. We played it and we were freaking out.
Deadly.
And it was supposed to be the next Silent Hill game, which is he was making them, but stuff like that, like kind of like demos or things that are inaccessible now, that have that like a game that never came to fruition, which is really cool.
That's really cool, man. Was there Was there a scope for Silent Hill actually as an accessories go, or was it Sci-Form filter or something on the PS2? And it had like the way
When you
for the
say a
Super
scope, are you
Nintendo.
talking like a gun? Like,
Sorry, yeah, like a gun. For the Super Nintendo, it's the big, huge one that you can get. I'm fairly sure there was one. I remember playing a game with friends who, so I can't remember the game. It might have been Silent Hill or Sci-Form filter, but you had a big. It was like a gun. It was like the NES light gun, but it was a big fucking huge. And you looked through the eyepiece, and it locked into the game. It was very cool.
I don't know, because the first time I played Silent Hill was Silent Hill 2 just a few months ago.
Oh,
like
right.
that was quite the experience, but I don't know about it. I do know though, because I own it. I do have a chainsaw Resident Evil 4 controller.
Oh, no way! You have one of them. I've seen them online. They're so fucking cool. Have you ever
It's
used it?
so it's so I got it. Basically, I have the PS2 version of it. So basically, at Christmas, I remember I went into, God, was it Golden Disc or no? I'm pretty sure it was Virgin Megastore at the time. I think they were still open, and I went in, and like it was like, okay, I have the Steelbook Resident Evil 4 for the PS2, and then I got the chainsaw with it because I just wanted,
Nice.
like that was my Christmas present that year.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, man, it's so funny. I don't even like. It's so weird. So imagine holding a little tiny chainsaw, and you can pull the string, and it revs and it vibrates.
No way,
Yeah.
deadly.
And then what you do is it's also motion controls. So when you put the chainsaw down, his gun goes down. When you put it up, his gun aims, and then it's like you have to shoot the button on it. But like, they're really cool. I don't think they're worth anything, but like the really cool thing about them is each blood splatter design is unique to each controller. So when they made the controllers, they like splashed, paint on it or whatever, and like so each one is labeled and numbered as their own original piece.
Oh, that's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Deadly.
Speaking of cringe, embarrassing, Donkey Konga.
Yeah. Oh, the fucking
the
bongos.
I have like, I swear to God, man. My friend John, and my friend Richard, who's been mentioned several times before, we all got Donkey Konga, right?
Deadly.
And we slapped our hands raw. We were like, oh my God, there's no words I can say on here that like we were just sitting down. We brought the TV into the hallway and we all just started slapping the bongos for hours. Like, and I remember, God help me, I was at my friend's house and we were playing, and she was like, that his mom was like, what is wrong with you? She was like, go outside and play right now. She said words that I can't say, and we were like 12. We were like, oh no. And she was like, there is something wrong with you. Like seeing 3 children over a sleepover slapping plastic congos for hours. Like,
oh man, that's fucking brilliant.
So cringe.
Oh, it's so funny, isn't it? Fucking hell. The things like parents would look at video games back then and be like, what is this?
Jesus, even if I had a kid and I saw him slapping plastic congas for hours at a time, I might have a word with him as well.
Oh, I love it.
And I remember the song was like, I get knocked down and I get up again. Yeah. Like, I remember the hand movements of this pretty well on in it.
Oh, love it. Here's an unusual one, right? Here's a very, very unusual one, and there's an NES game called Star Tropics. Have you ever heard of Star Tropics?
See, like I start to lose my my knowledge when we start going this far back. I don't know.
Cool. No. That's fine. So basically, Star Tropics, like I said, was a game released on the NES, and you're this guy, and you go onto an island, and it's like a little side-scrolling type thing. So there's like, you go around a little world map, and there's a side-scrolling part of it. It's a fucking difficult game, but I remember I first discovered it watching the Game and Historian on YouTube, and I was like, that game looks so cool. And it's on the NES Classic, right? But when you originally bought this game, okay, it came with a sheet of paper, and on that sheet of paper was like a letter. Like, you got it with the manual, and it was like, just a bonus thing to go with the game that was like a letter from your uncle or something like that, or a letter from your dad or something. So halfway through the game, you're getting help from this little robot, which looks like Rob the Robot from the NES.
Which is also in of itself like one of the weirdest accessories of all time.
Actually, Rob didn't even come into my head when I was doing a list of accessories, but yeah, it is. It's a very cool one. But you get this, basically you have to put in a code to continue on in the game. So say you get halfway through the game, it's like, you need to get this code. To get this code, you need to take the piece of paper and put it in a bowl of water. But you literally have to take the piece of paper that came with the game.
Was it unique? Was it unique? Was it like
no,
a universal?
I don't think it was. No, it's a universal code. As far as I know, it's a universal code. But you think about back then, people were renting video games. So, and you wouldn't get this piece of paper.
Fucking stuck. You were like,
what do
I put in the water?
Yeah. Or if you bought say if you bought the game second hand or something like that, and you got just the cart, you didn't have this, so you
It's
but I
fucking
always think
wild.
that's a really cool little accessory. Is this piece of paper that you have to put, and people would have been skeptical about putting the paper in the water because like, no, I'm gonna fucking ruin
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
is he messing with me? Is this should I
Like,
play him fucking
imagine the
mind
game's
games?
like, put your Super Nintendo into like into the water. It's like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
make sure it's still plugged in.
Yeah. Like, it's fucking mad, isn't it? I always think it's a really unusual one.
Well, anything that
really
takes you
cool.
outside the game is weird. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's two things I'm thinking in my head very quickly. So one, there's crazy Metal Gear Solid 1. Like, there's this thing that like breaks the fourth wall, and one of the bosses is like, we want you to plug in the second controller, and then we want you to press up, and then it starts vibrating on its own, like it tries to like psych you out. Like, this is I don't know too much about it, but I know it's a cool thing. Oh no, I forgot.
Psycho
Oh yeah,
Mantis,
sorry,
is
no,
that
no,
it?
no, no, no. I have that is his name, by the way.
Yeah.
But one thing I was thinking of, and I have to confess that I'm a sucker for,
Right.
and I think this counts as gaming accessories, is
Okay.
special editions, right?
All right.
Like, I will, like, you know, if a game comes out that I love, I will buy, like, recent examples.
I can
like,
see you looking up here now.
yeah. Like, I have a lot of boxes up here, and I can't tell you how many times I got like bent over and railed by buying some of these things, man. Sometimes it's God, like, go into a shop and it's like, oh my god, like, there's some funny ones, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
War 2, like, fucking opening it up, and it's like paid an extra 40 quid for it, like in 2009, and like opening up, like, so excited. And there's like a picture of like two of the characters in a photograph, and like you nearly turn around, the back of it is like, so, like, it's like, you got ripped off, bitch. It's like you end up opening this magical box that suck my dick on the inside. It's like, you're like, what? You're like, oh my god,
brilliant.
There's so many of them, man.
Special
Where,
edition.
like,
That's actually true. I would never have thought about that as an accessory, because you get statues and you get fucking chainsaw controllers and
yeah, like the whole lot, like, as in, or like with Breath of the Wild, they got like the masters, like some of them are cool,
yeah.
like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker and stuff for the Wii U. You get like the CD soundtracks of the game, which I always like think are cool to have and stuff like that. But oh man,
sorry, I think I have a soundtrack for Mario Kart 8 from the Wii. I don't know how it came.
Okay, first of all, Mario. Do you mean for the Wii U? You're gonna say yes, because otherwise you don't.
Mario Kart Wii. Maybe it's Mario Kart Wii.
Imagine just being like, going into the car, put on the CD, and it's like, and you're like, yeah, pedal to the metal, baby. Oh my god! But I would love, actually, as someone like, I mean, there's so many thoughts going through my head, but I'd love to hear the most useless special editions of all time, or limited editions, where like,
that's an episode in itself, man.
Yeah,
special editions.
Some of the shit you get with stuff. I mean, in fairness, I feel like that didn't become prevalent until like around the 360 area. There was like some stuff for the PS2 as well, but like I feel like for the N64 and stuff, everything was pretty basic. Like maybe you got like a nice colored cart or something like that. But
the N64, there was some games that came with stuff. But I think the cool thing back then was press packs, and not necessarily fucking special editions. Press packs are really collectible nowadays.
Are they like the review? Is that something a reviewer would get? That would be the press package for them. Yeah,
I know for like Conker's Bad Fur Day, there was some pretty cool stuff. Like they got a glass and a T-shirt and stuff like that. I
fucking love, like, I love Conker's Bad Fur Day and stuff like as in such a good game.
Yeah,
some of the cringe ones, man. Wii has some of the worst accessories ever gracing your presence. If you thought you're like, if you ever see your kid with the Wii controller, like, I mean, first of all, how many Wii controllers have broke TVs? But
I thought when you said Wii, I thought you meant like Wii is
the grand Wii.
Where's he going?
We are the worst, man. The Mario Kart Wii one where you have the steering wheel and you're just putting it, or like you could actually get a tennis racket attachment to the top of your Wii. So when you're playing tennis, you have an extra hunk of plastic on it. Or like the golf had like a tiny little golf stick at the end. Like, oh my god, they were cash.
Steering wheels. Remember, steering wheels are really like the hot shit back during the
steering
PS2.
wheels. Everyone had one, I think. like at some point.
Yeah.
And the worst part about the steering wheels, man, is the steering wheel would have to clamp onto a desk. And of course, you got like the rickety desk that your great grandfather owned. So like you were like fucking the thing every time you turned the whole desk and all the four legs were nearly snapping off on either
Yeah.
side. And
Actually, do you know one? Sorry, one just they're
they're
just
all
flying
so
at me.
badly
They're
weighted
flying
as
at me
well.
now, and this isn't
Yeah.
even steering wheel related. But I was just thinking of the best gun in a game is fucking Time Crisis, man. Like I remember playing that in the
I
arcade a
never
lot.
played Time Crisis.
Oh, really?
Wait, hang on, wait. I'm thinking of Time Splitter. Sorry. I have played Time Crisis. Sorry, I'm thinking Time Splitters.
It was in a couple of, there was only a few arcades around Dublin when I was growing up, but it was in most of the arcades. Oh, just such a fucking fantastic game. You'd have to, like, you press the pedal, otherwise you'd be crouching down, you press the pedal and jump up. And go, I don't know if it was specifically Time Crisis, but some of the guns would be like, it would slam back, it would have the hammer action. Maybe that was House of the Dead, but I can remember playing Time Crisis. Oh, it is a fucking great game.
Did you see the House of the Dead adaptation where it's like instead of shooting, you have to type in a word in your keyboard to get you proficient at typing? So
No
like
way.
it would come up, it says like, spell sand. You have to type in sand quickly and that's when it shoots. So like you get
Deadly.
really, yeah,
That
it's
sounds
kind of
cool.
a weird one.
Wasn't there a keyboard for like the Dreamcast?
Like there was a keyboard for a fair few consoles. Like
Was there? Yeah.
There was like the Atari, one of the very first consoles was like had a built-in keyboard and like floppy disk
No
type thing
way.
or something. Yeah.
Deadly.
I'm trying to think what else as well.
Oh, the Sega
microphones,
Mega.
by the way.
Sega Mega, man. The Sega Mega.
That Sega Mega, baby.
You think about the Sega Mega and then the Sega Mega Sega CD. You know that big attachment to the side? And then it has the Sega 32X, which was the extra bit you put on top.
I'm not too familiar because I know there's a Sega Saturn, which was a disc-based console, but I'm not too.
So for the Sega Mega Drive, Sega Mega, or the Sega Jega is the Sega Genesis. You could get a disc drive that attached onto the side of the Mega Drive.
Sure.
And you could put CDs in. I have no fucking clue.
Was
what
this like one of these little? Was it?
Of course, I have no clue, man.
You're like, so you explain this like thing in detail. Like, what does it do? Sure, who the fuck knows?
Who the fuck know, man? But then there's like the 32X goes on the top of it, which I think, now again, because I don't fucking know, there was Mega Drive games or Genesis games that had a little yellow tag on the top of them and a little yellow plastic piece, and they were for the 32X. And then I've seen it like all set up. I think Ben from Laser Steak, he has like a Sega Mega Drive with a Sega CD, a 32X, and then Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh, so basically he's like, have you seen the size of my cock?
But it looks
flexing it. I love it.
It looks so cool. It's like a fucking transformer. It looks class when it's all set up.
Do you know, and I'm thinking about microphones, I'm thinking about cameras as well really quickly because I know we're kind of pushing on for time. I have iToy. iToy was crazy one for the PS2.
Yeah.
And I have a funny story of that, man. So basically iToy, I loved it. I got it at Christmas. I was like fit as a fiddle. I was like, geez, I was very young, like, but it worked pretty well all considering. You know, it was on your TV. You'd see yourself on the TV.
Yeah.
And you would take like a picture of yourself on your memory card and everything, and would take your profile picture, and like you would just be hitting like, so it says hit the top left hand corner of the screen and you hit it. But I remember I was over at my friend's house and so weird. And like
I love it already.
We're playing the iToy. It was one of those things where like you went over to a friend's house you didn't really know very well.
Yeah.
And so so we were playing the iToy. I don't know, maybe it was late. And we were playing the iToy. We were jumping around the place playing the iToy. And his dad came in. He said, will you ever sit the fuck down and get the fuck and we were like, oh no.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh,
Jesus.
just one of those.
You just freeze. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah. It was just like, okay, I have to go.
Did you use the iToy for, I remember one of the Tony Hawk's game, I think it was Tony Hawk Underground, and you could like take a picture of yourself and it would map it onto a character.
I think so. You could be thinking of the Kinect as well for the 360. I'm not sure.
No, I'm fairly sure it was a PS2, but it might have been the iToy or something. But,
yeah. No, they definitely had a few of them. Like I think the iToy was fun for the one game it had, but then like the Kinect, because everyone tried to go into like the motion control side of things when the Wii came out, because they were absolutely killing it. Another thing I had that I got one Christmas that I still own and is an archive of a media that doesn't exist anymore.
All right.
Is the high definition DVD drive for the Xbox 360.
Oh.
So I don't
Oh,
know if you remember the battle between Blu-ray and high definition DVDs. So they were
what?
like, yeah, so they were like side by side at the time. So Sony owned Blu-ray, I think,
Right.
and I don't know who owned HD DVD, but basically that was the 1080p versions of the media that was coming out. This is like, I don't know, I'm trying to think, what were the old tapes? They're like beta tapes and something else.
Betamax and Laserdisc
Yeah, or something like that. You know what I mean? So this was like the
or
competition
something.
at the time, and Blu-ray run won, and that's been like used ever since, more or less.
Hmm.
But I had the HD DVD drive for the Xbox 360. I got at Christmas, and I had like the King Kong one with Jack Black in it, and I had like Shaun of the Dead or something on it.
Deadly.
But they were cool little ones. Like I still have them
Yeah.
upstairs, and it's like a
Class.
little tiny 360 that plugs in next to it.
I must
Yeah,
check it out. The different forms of media are pretty cool, like VHS, Laserdisc,
sure.
DVD. I think is Betamax a thing, or is that something to do with porn? I
No.
don't know. For
No,
some reason,
there was like, I don't know. I remember watching that 70s show and they were talking about, tape cassettes in your car. There was like a beta track or A track or something.
A-track,
I don't know what it was.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Also, the screens that attached to your consoles, like the PS1 that you could take with you. You go to your
Oh,
your on your
yeah.
things and they would like little flip up on it. And
Yeah,
it all
man.
became like a little portable console, which was really, really cool.
Or what about the fucking GameCube, Panasonic GameCube? I know that's like a special
Oh,
edition
the DVD player
console
thing.
thing,
That's
but like,
sick.
and it's like chrome shiny, fucking.
Yes.
It looks
So
deadly,
cool.
man.
I'm trying
Here's
to think.
one. Here's an
Mhm.
unsung hero, in my opinion, is the N64 Rumble Pack. Man, when that first came out, now that was some hot shit. Playing fucking Lilac Wars.
You were like, that was hot shit. Like, had it on my lap, just leaving Lilac Wars going wild.
Can't
I
even remember
never,
if it was Lilac Wars I was
I
playing
never,
with it, but I remember it being fucking cool, man.
I never had the Rumble Pack. That was one of the few. Well, did I? No, I don't think so. I think I think Richard did, my pal. But as far as I know, was it kind of pretty advanced Rumble in terms of the fact that like it was actually quite decent compared to the
The whole
inbuilt
house would be
controller ones
shaking,
that came out. You're like fucking earthquake on in
What are you
there.
doing up there? I'm playing fucking computer.
Ooh, the Game Boy printer was another one.
Oh man, I fucking have one. Oh, and I have paper, but there's no ink. I don't know.
And the quality of the photos, man, they were chef's
Yeah.
kiss pristine.
I love
They were,
love it.
they
And
were
the
so
link
cool.
cable. I know we talked about the link cable briefly there, but that's
Mhm.
fucking serious now. As accessories go, the link cable and Pokemon games. Let's
What
talk
I
about
mean-
Pokemon. We never talk about Pokemon in this podcast. Let's talk about Pokemon.
I'm pretty sure we've mentioned Pokemon probably a few, 2 or 3 times. I think Pokemon is so ingrained into every podcast we talk about that I think it just comes naturally to us.
Welcome to the Pokemon podcast. And
Yeah, we could do it, man. I mean, I don't even know that much about Pokemon, which is a funny thing, but so much of my memories, like the original Pokemon, I know, but so much of those memories are so fucking tied to it. Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Do I have any other off the top of my head?
the Super
Guitar
Game
Hero.
Boy man. Oh yeah, Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero, plastic guitars, the worst version of that though, man. Ultimate cringe. I mean, playing a plastic guitar. In fairness, Guitar Hero actually got me to play guitar, so I can't knock that. That's like one of the main reasons I got a guitar is because like, oh, this is kind of cool, But have you ever seen the DS Guitar Hero?
No,
accessory?
what?
Oh, it's cringe, man. So basically, a thing plugs into your DS. I think it goes into like the Game Boy Advance part of the cartridge.
Okay.
Do you know the way? Because in the original Nintendo DS had the Game Boy
at the
Advance
bottom.
underneath. Yeah. And like you just hold on to it as the color buttons on top. So you're on your screen, you're like diddly 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 diddly. Do you know what I mean?
Is it a violin or a guitar?
Oh, I mean, like, can you imagine rocking out to the speakers on the DS being like, brr, 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 and like fucking diddly diddly. Speaking of which, man, I have the ultimate story to tell. It's not,
yes.
I'm hyping it up too much, but I've never laughed so much in my goddamn life.
Right.
So, of course, it's the ultimate Richard story, right? So,
I love Richard. Don't even know him.
so basically, the DS was just coming out, right? His birthday was it the 12th of March, I think. And I think the DS was around, he was going to get it for his birthday or whatever, right? But we read in a Nintendo magazine that up in Dublin, do you know when that, what's the name of the shopping mall up there with the glass and, it's all
Stephen's
white?
Green Shopping Centre?
Yeah. So in there, and we had, can you imagine in your head, right? So we read there's going to be a Nintendo stage there.
No way.
And there's going to be Nintendo DSs and everything. And like, we had this image of like Nintendo, the New York shop. Like we had like this image of this in our heads. And we were like, oh my God. So for his birthday, he was like, I want to go up. And his dad was like, are you sure now? Like, for fuck's sake. And so his dad picked us up. I think we got the train up. Yeah. So his dad drove us in and we got the train up, went to Dublin, ran in there. I swear to God, like, I'd say he was close to tears and I was rolling on the floor laughing. Yeah. We got up there, got the train, paid for everything, got up there. There was 6 DSs in a circle that you could play on a tiny stand on the side. And I was crying. And his dad, I remember, I think vividly, his dad was like, for fuck's sake. Oh my God. And it was one of those things where, like, you know, you just had to go through the denial where you were like, this is great.
Yeah,
But do you remember there was PictoChat on the DS where you could message each other on your DSs?
No way.
You could literally, like, if you had a DS in the same range as you, the original DS, you could write something on it and send it. It was like an instant messenger.
All right, cool.
So I remember the 6 DSs were there anyway. We're waiting to have it go on one of the DSs, which he just got for his birthday, by the way. So he just went up. He just went up to fucking, DS. Oh my God. Like, think of the most wasted journey of your lifetime. But I remember we were all sending each other messages on the thing, and it got rowdy fast anyway. But
Jesus, yeah, of course.
Oh
dropping
my
dicks
God.
and everything,
yeah. There was a lot of
standard
dicks. There was a lot of dicks, yeah.
Here's one right here. Here's one that my friend Kieran gave me. I never thought of. Is your friends?
Oh wow! Way to bring it back to the heart.
Yeah, man.
I like the way you, like in the last episode when we were talking about villains in video games, your friends are your villains.
Yes,
and then we're saying today they're an accessory.
Yeah, well, yeah. But that's what I was saying. That's like
it is true.
He said it to me today, and I was like, I'm gonna rob that, Kieran.
Yeah.
So I said to him, I'm gonna rob that because you said at the end of the last episode, and I was like, I would never have thought that. Who's the biggest villain? Is that motherfucker shooting the shell at you in Mario Kart when you're in first place?
Dude, but like, it's true though, because like some of my, like, obviously most people's best memories is like playing something co-op or playing something multiplayer. You know, you're having those nights together, and it's like, accessories for gaming is meant to be fun. And if you can rob a friend and use them to play with you, I think the best was like almost when you were inviting someone over you didn't even like, just like, can you help me? Like, can you just play with me in this there and just don't talk? Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh man, I can remember my friend Jono used to. We had a Super Nintendo down at my grandmother's house, and we go down and stay at my grandmother's, and we were playing Super Mario Kart. And what we try and do is, we play 2-player, but we wanted the 2 of us to come in first. So
at the exact same time that you would try and get it as a draw.
Like, right, you come first in one race, I'll come second, and then I'll come first in the next race, and you come second. And we'd always
it's like my sex life.
Try and get. Oh, fuck's sake! Well, we tried and
joke now. That was a very dad joke there. Now that was like, I will hold my. I will.
Brilliant jokes.
Well, that's true. I mean, coming from a pappy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But man, we'd be like, and I can remember us doing it constantly, and we could never do it. We'd never, like, one person, it would be like the time difference or something. But that's just one thing I can remember. Like, everyone talks about GoldenEye and stuff like that, but I fucking loved playing Super Mario Kart, and the 2 of us trying to come in first. So we could all be winners. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's beautiful, man.
And it didn't work. We're all fucking losers.
That's true. I mean, considering all the pieces of plastic that we played with, Game Boys on, your belt. Do you know what I mean? Big chunky, thick tie save lives Game Boy accessories. Your 12 Link controllers in your back pocket, a Guitar Hero slung over your back. Do you know what I mean? What else is in there? A couple of steering wheels, a couple of guns down in your pockets, like the Power Glove. You can imagine the full embodiment that you have for it.
Yeah.
So do we have any other ones there, or we get to?
Sorry, one more before we go.
One
more before we go is that there's like a Mega Man controller, or no, sorry, Bomberman, but you could play 10-player Bomberman, 10 people playing Bomberman at one time.
Yeah.
And I remember playing at a convention, and they got 10 people up on stage, and I'm shit at fucking Bomberman, but I was like, 10-player Bomberman.
Yeah,
I'm
class.
fucking doing it. How cool is that? I think there's like a controller you can get, and it's like, or maybe it's like an adapter or something, and it's like the little head of the little guy from Bomberman.
Mm-hmm.
That's just cool.
Some of the ones that are like so unpractical like that are the chainsaw controller. Also, you can play 8-player Smash in the Wii U and Switch ones if you use the adapters. Which is
cool.
really cool as well.
Nice.
Okay, well, we got to read out a few answers from our previous podcast that we're going to do very quickly to slap it on in. Thank you so much for that, by the way. Also, let us know. We'll put it in. We'll put it down in the links below as well and stuff. What did we miss? Do you know what gaming accessories do you remember? And we might give you an old poll as well. So we did say the last day we promised we would read out some of the answers that people wrote in from our previous episode. So I'm going to start off with what is your earliest gaming memories? And Simon aka the Fear Merchant, was talking about playing Sonic on one of the Sega consoles at my neighbor's house around 7 or 8 years old. I feel like that's such a prime time age, you know?
Yeah.
It's Me Curry, probably RoboCop on the Amiga. Is it the Amiga? Is it the console?
Oh.
Around 1990. I was only about 5 at the time, and it was in a friend's shed. What's going on in that shed? Christopher Christman or Christman? My earliest memory, not pictures, is my brother playing war games on, ColecoVision?
ColecoVision, I think it is.
ColecoVision, is it? I hate it. What is that?
ColecoVision was just a really old console as far as I know, possibly from the early 80s or 70s. I could be totally fucking wrong here, Chris, so I apologise, but that's what I think it is.
He said, so I'd watch him, he'd lose, so the sirens go off. Scared the hell out of me. Now I love it. And then we got from Mark O'Sullivan, who I know, so I'm going to say his name. It's fine.
Cool.
After thinking about it more, I would go with the PlayStation 1, N64, and Dreamcast. I think he was talking about what was considered retro there in terms of the age category for it. Robert O'Brien said Crash Bandicoot on the PS1. Kieran Murphy, baby. We also know Cutie Patootie. Playing Sleepwalker on the Amiga with my dad. And then we got... Vito Satan, Space Invaders and the Atari 2600. And Francis O'Neill says PlayStation 1 and playing Tekken and Final Fantasy 7 at Christmas with my dad. That is fucking, that's a memory and a half right there.
Great memories.
Tekken, like the lore between Tekken and all those games is goddamn amazing on it as well. What retro gaming rumors do you remember growing up? Remember when a Super Mario Bros. 3 was just a rumor? No one had seen footage of it. Then Wizard came out. There you go, bringing a loot. That's from Cottle. Francis says that you bring oh my god, Ariat, is that her name? From Final Fantasy 7? What's her name?
I've never played. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I feel like I played the remake and I think I've just butchered it and I'm scared now for my life. That you can spoiler warning then, sorry for you here. That you can bring her back, but it was a farewell cutscene really, unless you use cheats. Okay. Christopher again says I remember hearing in Maniac Mansion on the NES. If you played the arcade games and scored anything with 69, that a naked statue would appear. Ended up being removed sprite that stayed on the PC versions. Okay, so a rumor that was kind of true on site in there as well, which is juicy days for it. Heroes and villains. Going to our last episode that we forgot to mention. Francis said Cloud Sephiroth, Gullimon and Food. I think that's Digimon and something else. Digimon and Humans, Killer Survivor, Trainer, Team Rocket, and Yugi and the Ancient Bad Guy from Yu-Gi-Oh! We also got Christopher again here. Red Ring of Death. That's a good one. Yeah. In the Xbox 360. Any 8-16-bit games with spikes. Conquer and the Great Mighty Pooh, and Power Failures at the final boss, baby. So thank you all for your questions. Thank you for popping on in. If you want to leave some answers to some of your favorite gaming accessories or some we missed out on the next one, let us know. Also, if you want to put your cringe stories in with it,
please do.
Yeah, please do. I mean, I think we've told enough of ours at this point, you know. Right, will we leave it there, my darling?
Yeah, all good.
All right, thank you so much for tuning in to the latest episode of Press the A Button to continue retro accessories. We will see you all for next time. Halfway through the season, we got 5 episodes left before we take a little break and see how everything goes. If you enjoyed the podcast, you like it, please rate it 5 stars. It really does help out the discoverability. We do it for the love and the passion of it. Nisha, where can we find you? Where do we go? The usual shenanigans.
You can find me on Instagram is my main thing, at Retro Gamer Ireland.
Perfect. You can find me at steamy_streamers in Twitch primarily and all the other good places. But with that all said and done, have a great evening, night, morning, whatever it is for you, and we will chat to you all soon. Bye. Bye.